I would like to say thank you for coming to my presentation. It's great to see you all. Let me introduce myself. I'm Maharani Fatima Gandasari, and I'm from Landak Regency, West Borneo, Indonesia. This time, I will present my article titled The Analysis of Online the Physical Education Learning During the Pandemic in the Outmost Area. Part Introduction. The COVID-19 pandemic emerged in December 2019 has affected many sectors of human life including the education. All indoor activities are postponed to do including school activities to anticipate the spread of the COVID-19 infection. So those school indoor activities are shifted from classroom to be online learning media. Moreover, there was also the official circular letter. The circular letter number 30, Education and Culture Authority 2020 about the education policy under emergency situation of COVID-19 pandemic. Published by a local education authority that urged the learning process being done via online media as the alternative of learning media. According to Ismail, the learning process cannot be spared from the important role of the teachers and students to achieve the better learning process. Therefore, lesson planning is the main key of teachers' effort to prepare the learning activities. Through the learning combination model, teachers and students will always continue the application of technology which is combined with face-to-face method to have a comprehensive learning practice. The internet connection, smartphone and laptop, which become the part of the current technology, have been widely used, whereas the users make use of them to do the distance learning. States that based on the Indonesian topography characterized by archipelagic and mountainous area. It needs the widespread accessible cellular service where, actually, there are still so many areas which have not yet received the internet connection service, so that condition causes the online learning still difficult to maximally. And the another factor is the lack of fast and reliable technology and internet access for the student living in the rural area and the low-class family. From Firdaus 2020. This type of learning makes use of the internet technology equipped with the accessibility, connectivity, flexibility, and ability enable the learning interaction variety in a virtual classroom from Valencia 2020. The fact in the field, based on the explanation from Titi Ekawati, quoted by Antara, shows that the characteristic of area in Sangha varies from one place to the other and not all areas are available with internet connection. Based on the preliminary survey done by Pustekam team, there were several reports about the common problems faced in the Outmost allocation are which were related to information and computer technology issues. These problems were: 1. The absence of the electricity. 2. The absence of internet connection. 3. The absence of internet and computer infrastructure. 4. The absence of human resource to information technology. And 5. The bad or even absent cellular in several areas. The ICT skill of teachers in Indonesia is not distributed equally in all areas. The big gap of Indonesian education quality is also one of the obstacles. The other factors are the internet access, the teacher qualification, education quality, and the lack of ICT skill causing the problems in the distance learning initiative. About Landak Regency, is one of the regency is West Borneo province as a result of the division and splitting of Pontianak Regency since 1919, which has its capital in Ngabang. The Landak Regency is one of a 62 regency in Indonesia that are designed as underdeveloped district in 2017. Landak had a 76 village classified as underdeveloped village and were still poor until now. Landak Regency West Borneo still has a shortage of 3,500 teachers. The shortages are spread across various levels, starting from early childhood education, basic education, to secondary education. Hitchcock is a fraction of Pontianak Regency. When we spread from Pontianak, we only had three public high schools, seven public junior high schools, and 387 public elementary schools, which had an average of 2 until 3 teachers. It may be difficult to imagine how the online learning is implemented in physical education subject. Moreover, physical education subject requires the physical activities in its learning process in Landak Regency area. The part method. In the qualitative research, the validity of the data depends on the source and technique which they collect the data. The researcher collected data from the result of the survey where the data was collected and processed in Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. The statistical presentation is originally the result of some statement characterized by general quantitative. The design applied in this research was causal comparative ex post factor, which was aimed to observe what the learning media and activity applied by physical education teachers during the pandemic. And the questionnaire was used as the instrument of the research spread by online. The questionnaire consisted of several questions about a personal information of the teachers, name, gender, degree, and age, and learning media used in their online learning classes in this research. The validity testing to the instrument of the research was conducted through bivariate person. The method was conducted by correlating each item score with the item total score. The item correlative coefficient with person behavior can be identified with the following formula. And reliability relates to the trustworthy toward the test instrument. The reliability requires the stability between the observation and the instrument. There some primary step is analyzing the reliability, namely, first, adding the score of even number question and odd number question. Second, identifying the product moment coefficient Rxg between x and y. C. Correcting Rxg using Spearman-Brown formula. These steps were applied to measure the level of reliability of the instrument for variable x and y. The application used to do the measurement was SPSS for Windows Release 16. And the reliability testing toward the instrument involved uh, 200 respondents. Next, part research and discussion. The diagram 1, based on the diagram above, it can be identified that the age percentage for elementary school teachers is that the lowest age is 40 years old above with the percentage 20%, while the rest of the age 24 until 40 years old, the percentage is 23%. The age percentage for junior high school teachers is that the lowest is 40 years old above 6%, while the age 24 until 40 is 20%. The age percentage for senior high school teachers is that the lowest is 40 years old above 7%, while the age 24 until 40 is 24%. That means that the age of teacher in Landagrajansi is mostly categorized in the age between 24 until 40. That range of age is a productive age where the young teachers can update and develop the, develop the education in the future. At the moment, teachers should always challenge themselves to develop and be creative in facing the change and technology development. Creativity and innovation can help teachers to counter the global issue. And the teachers' unpreparedness in facing the pandemic is so unfortunate because they have to do the online learning. There are several issues faced by teachers and students in the online learning identified from the result of the questionnaire. Researcher has analyzed the preparation of school, teachers and students to do the online learning during the pandemic. Below is the questionnaire analysis of learning media applications which are used by teachers in Landak Regency. And the diagram 2, based on the diagram above, there are 5% teachers using Google Form, 2.5% Google Classroom, 18.5% WhatsApp application, and 6.5% using the manual method. This information was collected through a questionnaire filled by every teacher in the elementary school. So it can be concluded that the use of application media by junior high school teachers puts WhatsApp with the highest percentage of use, 85.0%, and the manual method follows after. Based on the diagram above, there are 25.36% teachers using Google Form and 46.54% Google Classroom and 45.6% WhatsApp application and 35% using the manual method by collecting the assignment to the school. And this information was collected through questionnaires filled by every teacher in the junior high school. So, it can be concluded that the use of application media by junior high school teachers put Google from with the highest percentage of use. Some junior high school with internet connection could do the learning via Google Classroom, but for those which that do not have the internet connection could not do that, so they could choose the manual method. Diagram 4. Based on the diagram above, there are 24.42% Google Classroom, 64.46% Google Classroom, and 64.47% social media WhatsApp, and 64.42% manual technique. And therefore, it can be concluded that junior high school teachers use the application media equally potential among the use of WhatsApp, Google Classroom, and manual. In the online learning process, the teacher's ability is using the application to students' learning where the schools provide these facilities is so important. And the geographic location and teachers' ability also affect the benefits and the use of media in the learning process. Below is the graphic of the use of learning media by the physical education teachers. And diagram 5, based on the data presented above, physical education teacher is elementary school age 24 until 40, very often use the WhatsApp is 45%, while the teacher age 40 above 49% belong to the highest level category. And the teacher in junior high school age 24 until 40 often use the media of Google Classroom, 35.54%, and teacher sets 40 above 34.32% belong to highest level category. Meanwhile, teachers in senior high school age 24 until 40 equally use Meanwhile, teachers in senior high school age 24 until 40 equally use free media, namely Google Classroom 35.54% and WhatsApp 32.43% and category 30.33%. And therefore, it can be concluded that the use of social media, WhatsApp, tend to be used by teachers of elementary school, and then the use of Google Classroom by junior high school teachers, and the equal use of Google Classroom, WhatsApp, and manual techniques by teacher in the senior high school. And the part conclusion. Based on the research having been done by a researcher, it can be concluded that every teacher, especially physical education teacher, must be able to prepare and be ready to face any change from the current situation. And teachers are required to have competency to adapt the development, the update to the current information technology and not be dependent to the current situation around them. The education, without any exception, goes the same way to the application to the physical education teachers is the outmost area. They should keep working and learn to take some benefits from the technology to be applied in the learning process, because to give up on the bad situation is not the solution that can be given to our students. Teachers should be responsive toward the technology development and always try to develop so they can create the academic environment which is active, creative, humanist, and solutive. Okay, thank you for your listening. Many of those we have shared be beneficial for all of us. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.